Today we're going to open up a computer, we're going to go inside, take a look around, and see how your computer works. All this today on Mr. A's Techno Show. Welcome back. So as you can see, we already have the lid taken off on this computer and we're looking around inside of it. As we go through this computer, you will see that I've highlighted some areas and I've also made sure to label each area that we're talking about. So if you're following along with a computer that you have at home or a computer that you have at school, you'll be able to sort of get an idea of where everything is at and what the names of the parts are called. One of the first components that I'd like to talk about is the RAM, or random access memory. These chips are very important to your computer. And if you've ever had a problem with your video, you may want to check to make sure that your RAM chips are properly set in their slots. If they're not, your video might not actually be working. We're looking down on it from the top, so you get kind of an idea of what the slots look like and where the slots are located. But I'm also going to pull one out and let you see what it looks like from the side. This will kind of give you a better idea of how large a RAM chip module is. From there, we're going to head over to the CMOS battery. The CMOS battery provides a little bit of stored electricity so that your computer does not forget all of its settings, sort of like the date or time. Without the CMOS battery, you would always have to completely go through the setup once again when you turned on your computer. So this saves you a lot of time. If you ever notice that your settings for your motherboard or your programs are off, it may be because your CMOS battery has died. You may need to replace that. Now let's take a look at that big fan that's sitting in the center. That is your CPU cooling fan. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit, or the brain of your computer. Under that is another component called a heat sink. This helps keep the CPU cool. I took the fan off so you could get a better look at the heat sink. And finally, underneath the heatsink is the CPU itself. The next component we're looking at is the hard drive. The hard drive is your main storage unit. That is where you store all of your games and other applications that you may use. The next part is called the CD/DVD optical drive. Many of you are already familiar with CD drives and DVD drives. You can watch movies, you can play music through them, but you can also upload new applications. This, of course, is what it looks like from inside the computer. You're probably more familiar with what it looks like outside. Here's a shot of that component. The next part is called this power supply. This is where electricity comes from wall outlets into your computer, and then the electricity is sent out to all the different components that require electricity inside your computer. The next component are called expansion slots, or PCI Express slots. From here you can add new cards to enhance the capabilities of your computer. This computer has two different types of PCI Express slots, a PCI Express 1 and a PCI Express 16. The PCI Express 16 is made for video cards. Let's now look at the back panel of your computer. And on that panel, you're going to see many different types of outlets and also ports. So let's go ahead and go through some of these now. Some of these may already be familiar to you, but some of them are probably not. Let's take a look at the soundboard. You have an input, an output, where usually the speakers plug into, and then of course we have a microphone port. Next to the sound input and output, you have an HDMI video and an SVGA video cable ports. Next to them, we have USB ports. Many of you are already familiar with USB. A lot of you have USB mice and a USB keyboard. You can also have USB headphones or speakers. And I'm sure somewhere on the back of your computer, you're going to have a network port. This is so you can connect to the internet and also other computers on a network. Now let's take a look at the front panel. Of course, once again, you see the DVD, CD player, but there's also USB ports in the front. You can use those, of course, for headphones or a microphone or whatever you may have that requires a USB port. And lastly, we have another microphone port and a headphone port. Wow, that was an awful lot of stuff to cover in a short amount of time. Now you have a really good idea of what is inside of your computer. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Please, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you have an idea for a show, or you just have some tech questions, please always feel free to email me. My email is there in the description box below. I can also be reached on Facebook and Twitter. If you liked what you saw today, please feel free to subscribe and also give it a big thumbs up if you would like to see more of this type of content. This is Mr. A wishing you a tech-filled day.